Mark 5. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains, and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out, and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled, and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Jesus, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion sitting, and clothed, and in his right mind. And they were afraid. And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coasts. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. And he departed.
Looking back on a terrible home invasion experience that my wife and I had once we moved to Chicago, I realized it started long before we moved into that house. My spiritual battles with unclean spirits began the night my son died. Imagine this, 1999, prom night. My son is a junior in high school. He begs me to use one of our high-end cars to take his girlfriend out to the prom. And against my better judgment, I let him borrow my Ferrari. 2 hours after my son departed for the prom, my wife receives a phone call. He's dead. Car accident. Ferrari totaled. My son's body mangled along the highway. It was that night that my son died that I turned my back on God, refusing to pray. And in those days, I was angry, extremely, extremely angry. And for a man of wealth and power, anger is a very dangerous thing. The death of my son led to me having a closer relationship with my older brother, Thomas. Just to be clear so you understand what we're talking about here. My net worth fluctuates from about 150 million to 275 million any given year. My older brother, Thomas, who's always been a psychopath, his net worth, 675 million to $1 billion. Listen, simply put, you don't get to that type of wealth and power without making connections with people in some good places and some extremely terrible places. The death of my son led me to a number of those terrible people. Cold-hearted, unrelenting pursuit of power is what I found myself caught up in. Conspiracy theories that people talk about on alternative media news sites. Those type of people are who I quickly became involved with. Now listen to me, there's one catch to having wealth and power that most people don't understand. It makes you totally unrelatable. And for my wife and I, living in the city of New Orleans only reminded me of my son's death. And believe me, over the years of doing backroom deals, watching economies crash and making money, there were times where I tried to do good things. There were people that I wanted to help. But deep down inside, I didn't care. And New Orleans, Louisiana slowly turned into a place that I didn't give a damn about. This led to my wife and I moving to one of the most wealthy and affluent neighborhoods in Chicago. We had been in our neighborhood about 2 months when I first noticed this skinny, diseased-looking white guy walking up and down the street. Half of this man's hair was blue, the other half was pink. And my initial thought was maybe this is one of my neighbor's sons strung out on drugs, just roaming around in the streets. A few days later, I see him again leaning against a light pole, watching one of my neighbors pull out of the driveway. And again, I think nothing of it because this neighborhood is heavily patrolled by police officers, and because there are certain politicians that live here, even Secret Service is in the area. That was until one night I'm laying in a bed with my wife, half asleep, half woke. She's watching Netflix. Lizzie shakes me and says, "Honey, I think I hear something downstairs in the kitchen." Now, understand my mindset. I moved from the city of New Orleans, where I had property on St. Charles Avenue. And even on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, if you heard a noise in your house at night, you better get your weapon and go figure out what the hell it is. So I'm up out of bed, 9mm in my hand, slowly tiptoeing down the steps. There's a light coming from the kitchen. And by the time I get to the bottom of the steps, not only do I realize that someone has invaded our home, this person is standing there digging in our refrigerator. My body squared up to him, knees slightly bent, weapon raised at the ready. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" I kid you not, it's that freaky looking guy with the two-tone hair. He smells like sewage. He's in my refrigerator eating pickles. Understand, I have my weapon raised at this man. His back is turned. He puts the pickles down on the counter, turns around, and his eyes are black. And I don't mean black like just his eyeballs are black. The entire area around his eyes, his eye sockets, is black. This man calmly looks at me and says, "I'm sorry to have startled and awakened you. I was just heading up to see you and your wife. I'm glad you were able to come down." As those words came out of his mouth, I could feel the evil intentions. "You need to leave my house right now." And I swear to you, no Hollywood movie or actor or actress could play the part of the crazy that I was about to witness. This man puts his hands up in the air, spins around like a ballerina saying, "Tonight you and your wife are going to die and there's nothing you can do about it. I came here to murder you." He's singing, "I came here to murder you." This is my last time telling you, get the hell out of my house right now. Crooked, sinister grin comes across his face as he takes a step towards me. Pow! One shot sent him mass, his body falls to the floor, and I'm thinking, okay, this is over. But now Lizzie, my wife, is at the top of the steps on her cell phone dialing 911. Head turns for a split second, looking back over at this man. He's laid on his back, palms on the ground, starting to squirm and move backwards. The most freaky, ungodly movement I've ever seen is somehow his shoulders and elbows start to contort. His palms now pressing on the base of my kitchen cabinets, pulling himself up, standing up, blood gushing from his chest. I fire again, hitting him in the shoulder, and he starts to move towards me. Now my precise firing turns to panic fire. Bop, 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 bop. Body sliding to the floor again, magazine empty. Running up the steps, grab Lizzie, pull her into the bedroom, close the door. I'm searching for my shotgun. What happened next, I want to describe to you as moments of silence, but in reality it wasn't. My ears were ringing, heart pounding, adrenaline pumping. And then we both hear him singing again. I came here to murder you and your wife. I came here to murder you and your wife. God cannot help you tonight. The most crazy crap I've ever heard. You could hear what seemed like every chair, table, piece of furniture, glass, painting, picture, TV, lamp being flipped over and tossed around downstairs.
Dark Waters brings another riveting tale of demonic possession to you. If you are a member, head over and listen. If not a member, sign up today. Only $4.99 per month. Dark Waters is world-renowned for his dogman encounters, Bigfoot, and many other genres of stories. Head over to IamDarkwaters.com today.